Namaste, beautiful friends. This is Elle with Sacred Union Spiritual Wellness. I'm hoping you are well today. Thank you for joining me. Today is Friday, so we have our messages from the fairies on Fridays. So I'm going to get started with the fairy oracle. I'm also going to use messages from mermaids, both of those oracle decks by Karen Kay. And then I'm going to use the Fairy Tarot by Radley Valentine. So let's get started and see what messages come through for you today. Well, there we go. They just fell out. Inner child and pure intention. Children have pure intention. Before we get jaded but this is going back, I feel, to kind of that inner child momentum, where you are from that innocence, that sense of wonder, that sense of the universe being a very big place. And usually as a child, it's kind of like the planet's a huge place, but we have a sense of wonder about the universe being a very big place. Very many unknowns. We have a really infantile knowledge about the universe and all that exists there. So it's kind of like open yourself up to that childlike wonder. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything. Even if you are in a coaching position, or you are serving the light as a coach where people are coming to you for answers, it's okay to say, that's not something I know yet. It's okay to not know. Because when you connect with Source, with Spirit, and I was just listening to something earlier, you know, the Star Wars the Force thing with, you know, it's just the Force, that's the quantum field, that's spirit. I mean, it's so obvious how Yoda was able to manipulate the Force through his intention, through his will, through his acts. But he had to have pure intentions, and he had to communicate those intentions clearly. And that's manifestation. So let's see what the mermaids have to say. I feel like that's one message there, because it's definitely somewhat of a childlike energy, but not immature, but wondrous, just trying to take it all in, but not having the answers, not having to understand everything right now. Gratitude. Always we talk about gratitude. That is a high vibration, and it also, showing gratitude allows for more abundance to come in and turn away. Oh, okay, there's turning away from things that are of lower vibration, of things that no longer vibe with you. If you hear the birds, they're always, when I start to do a reading, they don't talk like that unless they feel Spirit is here. It's almost like they can communicate, and they're almost trying to tell me. But look at the expression. First, the gratitude. Look at that peaceful, contented energy that she is sitting in. It's just thank you, thank you, thank you. However, there's something in your past or something that is in your energetic field you need to turn away from in order to be in higher vibration, in order to be able to communicate with your higher self more fluidly, also for being able to communicate with other beings, other light workers, telepathically. That doesn't happen unless you're in high vibration. So we have two different messages here. Now these feel like more mature women, but this is definitely a very childlike, there is a maternal component to it, but the purity of the child's intention and seeking answers from purity is such a wondrous energy. And that's what they're saying. Ask questions from a sense of wonder, not skepticism, wonder. Okay, let me pull all the cards and then I will read energy for you. So far, so good. Loving this energy. It's like when you step into that childlike energy and you come at everything from the heart space with pure intentions, you're going to see a different manifestation, not from ego. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so the first part of this message is definitely stepping out of the illusion of the programming. Okay, so we got 2 10s here. All right, give me just a minute, please, so I can kind of steep myself in the energy. That's interesting. Okay, so I feel like right now, when you embrace this inner childlike wonder with pure intentions, as if you're being reborn as a spiritual being, where you are seeing things now from the spiritual perspective. There is a new rush of creativity. They want me to use the word dynamic. Things become very dynamic, almost as if they're being orchestrated. And you're watching it unfold, knowing that it's orchestrated for your highest and greatest good, because you're in that sense of wonder and in that childlike enthusiasm. That's before all of the programming, all of the cynicism, all of the betrayals, all of the hurts, all of the misunderstandings, miscommunications. Before all of those things kind of made you harden your heart, the sense of innocence and excitement and connection and continuity is tremendous. And what you're being asked to do, or being guided to do by the fairies, is to go back to that. Just take all of those emotions, all of those experiences, and put them in a box for right now. Just put them in a box visually with your intention. Put them in a box. And then once remove them, how would you feel if you didn't have them as part of your personality anymore, as part of your thought processes, as part of your understanding, your experiences? What would that feel like? Get there. Get into that energy where you're just connecting to the inner child and the wonder of that inner child. See the world from that. It's a magical place. You have to step aside from the ego. The ego is what has responded to, or reacted, or responded or reacted to all of those things that you put in the box. And if you could remove the ego, just put it in a box. We need our ego from time to time, but right now you can put it in a box with all of those stimuli that created those reactions from your ego. Put them in a box and get to this place where it's unfiltered. It's pure. The energy is pure and unfiltered, and that is the energy that you need to allow in. Because when you do, you're going to have a burst of creativity, a burst of energy, a burst of excitement. There's going to be a higher level of dynamic enthusiasm for your purpose. because it's very fulfilling. I feel like somebody is struggling with that, with being able to set aside the ego and see life without it. See how things are so carefully orchestrated in your behalf. And being able to bring back the masculine and feminine balance within you is one of the critical components for becoming unified with Source, with Spirit, because you're not in polarity. The polarity is division, separation. But when you can bring together and balance your masculine and feminine energies, that's the step that you need in order to bring things into unison, unity within you. Then that's the energy that you are vibrating at. And then that attracts other things, such as your twin, soulmates, abundance. It's not necessarily about going out and getting them, grasping them. It is about bringing them to you through your vibration. But one of the critical components is your ego has gotten in the way quite a bit, and it's tripped you up. And now it's time to just kind of recognize that and say, you know what? As a pure inner child, my pure inner child doesn't need that ego right now, because that could be a blockage for you connecting. And it's time to let that go. It's time to say, I don't need my ego right now, because I want to just rest in this peace of being in this wonder, enthusiasm. I feel like there's a component here also of being in right action. If you don't know what that means, it means acting from alignment. So we have our mind, and it does most of the thinking for us, but it also interacts with that ego. And then we have our heart. The mind reacts to the ego. The heart responds to the ego. So when we have heart-brain coherence, where our heart and our mind are in alignment, it creates a very powerful frequency. And our aura changes. And it feels like you're just in the flow state. You're in the present moment, and you're just flowing through your 3D existence, but it's almost as if you're floating through it, like you're just swimming through a quantum field that has all of these representations of the 3D version of your life. It's like a hologram. And your consciousness is interacting with that hologram. And you're part of it, but yet you aren't. There's still the connection to Source, which is your essence, that life spark in you. And it feels as though once you remove the ego, you can get into that heart-brain coherence. And it's very difficult to get into that alignment when the ego is persuading your mind to be defensive. Children from those pure intentions, that childlike wonder, that innocence, aren't defensive. All right, let's go over to turning away from something and being grateful. So the first thing is start with gratitude. And if you're having difficulty getting into heart-brain coherence, the first step is gratitude. It's just being grateful for everything. The fact that you're alive, that you have the necessities of life. find things to be grateful for. I'm grateful for the birds that chirp, even though I'm sure it's very annoying to you. I'd love to hear them. I'm an auditory processor, so I have to hear sounds in my home in order to feel connected. Oh, there's the Hermit. A lot of major arcana here. We have the Ego, or the Devil card, Capricornian energy. Could be dealing with a Capricorn. We also have the Hierophant, which is a Taurus energy. But in this deck, it's called Unity, and that's unifying your masculine, feminine energies and coming out of separation, out of polarity, to become personally interactive on a spiritual level with the quantum field, with spirit, in order to manifest and create what it is that you desire. Ooh, now we have the Tower, but in this deck it's called Life Experience. I'm trying to figure out what we're... Oh my goodness, Judgment. And in this deck it's called Renewal. A lot of major arcanas here. We have the Unity card and the Three of Cups in the same position on both sides. Ace of Winter. Okay. Now, Queen of Winter on the bottom. Okay, so a couple of things that have kind of occurred to me. This could be a twin flame reading, or it could be messages for your masculine and feminine. I feel like this side is the masculine. I feel like the masculine has gone through the ego death, and they have, and this is for a particular segment of the collective, but the segment that I'm picking up on feels like the masculine has gone through the ego death, and now they're starting to discover, and if you look at the twin flame reading I posted on Tuesday, they're starting to discover kind of that spiritual nature, and that's the sense of wonder that they're experiencing. So if that's how you are resonating with this reading, I feel like that's the masculine energy, and it's like having to balance that their inner masculine and feminine, because they need to be able to receive. The feminine receives, the masculine takes that right action, but it feels like for the masculine, they're just trying to balance. This is probably a people pleaser. It could be a Taurus, could be a Capricorn, but somebody who has spent an enormous part of their interaction with others as a people pleaser. And it feels like now they're just like, I need to start taking care of myself. Although I don't really see any pentacles here. I do see the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Winter. And it's like, I've got to stop trying to do things so that people look at me favorably. And I need to find what's truly going to make me happy within. Both, you know, from the action-oriented part of me, but also I need to be more open to receiving. I need to allow others to be able to give to me or support me or love me. And I feel like they are really in that inner child, like they're dealing with that inner child wounding, and they're going back to the basics. Okay, I really didn't intend for this to be a twin flame reading, but when I pulled out these cards with this Unity card and the Three of Cups card, which is Unity to me, the way I read it, the energy, it just kind of was like, here we go. We have Life Experience, which is the Tower card, in the same position as the Ego. This could be the feminine side, where the feminine is like, I'm being very grateful. I am counting my blessings, counting my abundance, starting to really embrace all that has transpired in my life as lessons that have gotten me to this point. But there's something that the feminine is turning away from. And I feel like the feminine is taking a spiritual inventory. Yeah. It's like the feminine is taking a spiritual inventory of, what's gone right, what's gone wrong, how this new version of me can interact less problematically and create the abundance, create the stability, create the energy that I truly want to navigate the quantum field with. I feel like the feminine is no longer interacting with things that lower her vibration. And I feel like she just kind of cut them out. That's why this Queen of Swords is here. It's like, I feel like the Divine Feminine just said, you know what, if it doesn't resonate at the frequency that I am happiest with this new version of me, when you have a new version of you come online because of all the good work that you've done, the healing and, becoming more consciously connected, the new version of you creates a new energy. And sometimes it's a little hard to get used to that energy. But if something isn't jiving with your vibe, you're just like, I can't do that. I just don't want to do the work to have to get myself back up into this higher vibration. Because if I allow things that don't resonate with me anymore, that bring my vibration down, I have to work harder to get it back up. And so now I just kind of don't want to be around that. I don't want that energy to infiltrate my aura. And it feels like there's a spiritual inventory where the Divine Feminine is like, this makes the cut, this doesn't. This stays in my circle, this doesn't. And just kind of saying, I'm just not going to play anymore. I'm just not going to try and fight the resonance. But through doing that, you're in a sustainable higher vibration, which then kind of echoes out into the quantum field and attracts other things to you. And I mean, just think of yourself as being stationed right in the center of the universe. And you choose what you want as far as experiences, people, situations. You choose that through your vibration. So when you're vibrating at a very high vibration, you're going to have experiences, people, situations that come in at that vibration. But if you're vibrating at a very low vibration, such as fear-based, anger, resentment, then you are going to attract what feeds that. And that's more things to resent, more things to be angry about. So it feels like this is just kind of words of wisdom from the fairies. Don't interact with things that lower your vibration. And if you have to, such as a coworker or you're co-parenting with a narcissistic, ex-partner, you want to protect yourself and protect your energy so that you don't absorb that. If you can't do without them, you can't eliminate them from your life, but not in a bad way, but just not have the interaction. If that's not a possibility, then mind your energy. Take care not to absorb negative energy. So the interaction should be brief and not personal. You know, if you don't know how to deal with a narcissist, it's called gray rocking. So you don't give any personal information. You keep it light and superficial. No personal information. If they ask questions, they're fishing. Narcissists don't care how you feel. They are not interested in your well-being. They're interested in information that can be used against you. So if you're dealing with a narcissist, gray rock. Like, how are you? Fine, thank you. And if they ask personal questions, you need to form boundaries. I'm going to take this Queen of Swords and I'm going to pull 3 more cards because I feel like there's something else. This is really important, and it seems like it's just kind of redundant, but it feels like this, with the summer that we're going to experience, I feel like it's really important that you learn to keep your vibration high, especially with some of the chaos in the world, you know, news headlines, things like that. It feels like you just need to be really diligent. So do due diligence when it comes to your energy. Yeah. Let go of the past. So, oh my gosh, more and more and more major arcanas. I'll show you how many we have. Okay, so let's go through major arcanas. We have the 15 card, which is ego. This is the devil card. It's Capricorn energy, but it's all about not allowing your energy to become riddled with toxicity. And then we have the Hierophant card, which in this deck is called unity. And we've talked pretty much about that. Heart-brain coherence is really important. Masculine, feminine energies need to be balanced. Your heart and your brain need to be balanced. We have the Hermit card. This is earth energy, Virgo. So you could be dealing with a Virgo, or you may be a Virgo. The Hermit to me is all about spiritual, being in touch with your spiritual side and focusing on your ascension, your spiritual lessons. It could be traditional belief systems, but for me, it is all about being with oneself and being able to take that spiritual inventory. This is the renewal card. This is judgment energy. That's fire energy, I believe. But in this deck, it's called renewal. And this is something that you have to work at. This is part of your purpose here as you incarnated on this planet in your human form, is to learn and embrace the lessons. But ultimately the goal is to move more into conscious connection, as opposed to just reacting to your, you know, going through your daily motions of life. You know, the chop wood, carry water, and then you become enlightened and you still chop wood, carry water, but you do it consciously, where you are consciously aware of your interactions and your impacts and your energetic emotions and how you use those. Let's not say use, let's say manage those for not only the benefit of yourself, but for others around you. And then we have the Tower card, which is, in this deck, life experience. This is where you gain wisdom from these experiences, from people you interact with, from relationships that grow and then fail, from, you know, making mistakes, using that wisdom to become more in alignment. Because when you become more in alignment, you attract different experiences on a higher frequency. And then we have the Release card, which is the Death card, which is transformation. And then we have the Magician card. These came out together. So this is the kind of releasing all the old programming and resentments and all the things that we talked about that interacted with that ego and caused the ego to react. And now we're responding from spiritual consciousness, from this inner child, this wonder, without all the jaded past. It's a past profile, is what my guides are saying. There's a past profile that you just need to let go of. Because then we're in this energy of just being really dynamic. Bottom of the deck, High Priestess, another major arcana. That is, that's Moon, Piscean energy, water energy, but this is connecting with your higher self, your intuition, being guided. I cannot describe to you the feeling of being in that energetic flow where your energy is just flowing through without resistance in the quantum field. And I often use the analogy of being in a kayak and just being on a good float. You're just floating, and you're floating without resistance. And the only time that you really put your paddle in the water is to kind of steer yourself away from, the rocks and boulders and limbs and trees and trunks and all of that. But the rest of the time, you're just midstream, going down the center of the river, and you're just enjoying it. There's no resistance. You're moving so quickly, there's a little breeze on your face, and you're grateful for that. And you're like, oh, it was getting a little hot. I appreciate that breeze. But you noticed it. You noticed that little breeze and the relief it gave you, and that how it came at just the right time, just as you were getting a little overheated. But that's what I'm saying, is you get into that flow. That's heart-brain coherence. That's when you're magnetic. And everything is effortless. And as you want something, it appears on the bank over here. And as you desire something else, it appears on the bank over here. And you just go through those experiences in this state of flow. That's your consciousness interacting with the higher consciousness of Source. And it's a beautiful feeling. That's what they're asking you to connect with, because that's when you're manifesting. I've had so many instances lately of thinking about something, and then it just manifests. It's like it just shows up. Of course, it doesn't show up like a stork dropping a baby off on my front porch. But the next time I leave my house, it'll be there. It'll be like, wow, okay, that was amazing. And then you get to a point where it happens so frequently that you have that childlike sense of wonder. You're like, that's just incredible. You don't tire of it at all, and you don't want to take it for granted. Every time I see, what I call a message from Spirit is a synchronicity. That to me is like a wink. And every time I do it, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for noticing that I'm here. Thank you for taking the time to send me a little message. It's encouraging, it's uplifting, because you know that you are always being protected. You are not alone. You are going through this experience on this planet in this density with amazing support. And it's not, once you learn to work with that and to embrace that, it becomes a beautiful, magical life. Sure, are there things that go wrong? Yes. But I don't put up resistance. It's like, there must be a reason for that. I'm just going to let it play out and see what happens. I was telling somebody the other day, I was on my trip and my phone wouldn't charge. My phone would not charge. I was down to like 18%. It was very late at night by the time I was getting in. I had no idea where I was going, where my hotel was, where anything was. And I was like, typically for a type A personality, that gets very disruptive. And I started to feel the anxiety, the anger, the frustration. And then I said, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That was my pattern before, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to just trust and allow. And so I tried every port I could find in the airport. I got a new charging cord at $30, you know, in the little kiosk. That didn't work. And I'm like, okay, so what can I do to prepare? I'm going to go ahead and figure out where the store is so that if I have to get a new phone, I can get a new phone. I know how far it is. I know where my hotel is. I can take a cab if I need to. I didn't have my phone, so I didn't think I was going to be able to do Uber. So I was like, I'll just get a cab. I know, you know, where I need to go. Okay, so I have a plan. Now I can relax. Worst case scenario, this is what I'm going to need to do. Problem solved. Not going to worry about it. I'll deal with it tomorrow when I need to. So then I got on the last leg of my journey, which is the last flight. And I plugged in, I was like, you know, maybe if I plug in my phone to the little port on the seat, I might be able to eke out 1 or 2 more % that might buy me a little bit more time. And when I did, it started charging. And I was like, oh, thank you. That was just reinforcement for not getting upset, just going with the flow, not putting up resistance. And I haven't had a problem charging it since. So, all right, bottom of the deck from the mermaids, magic. What did I just say? Manifesting magic, hidden depths. Something hidden is about to come to light. Perhaps a secret or a memory in the back of your mind. When you expose what is hidden, we can become free. So if there's something here that is hidden, that is causing you to turn away and put up resistance, turn away from spirit, it's time to deal with it. All right, my friends, that is the message from the fairies. I hope it helped. Please leave me a comment. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you would consider doing that. It helps me out. Until I see you in the next video, namaste.